Hello, welcome to PointCounterpoint. The opinions expressed by the show's host, myself, Dwayne Perry, and Tony Hendricks, will many times conflict. Thus the title, PointCounterpoint. PointCounterpoint is a weekly issues show for our area. PointCounterpoint always lets you, the judge, be the judge for yourself. We live in an information free-for-all. It's hard to see through the misinformation and get to the accurate facts, what is right and best for the community. We will not libel, discriminate, or disrespect anyone or their views. We believe in the constitutional First Amendment, right of free speech, and we support everyone who voices their opinion as part of their duty to their community. This program brings you just that, unedited, honest discussion of issues. The producers take no responsibility for the opinions and comments made on the show by their guests or the information they gather from public sources. The intent of this show is to thoroughly research current issues that affect our community, present the facts surrounding the issues, discuss the pros and cons, then present to our viewing audience what we together or individually feel is the best solution for both the community and the public. This show is a property of the producers and may not be rebroadcast without written permission from the producers. The producers take no responsibility for the opinions of others in the postings of comments in chat rooms, blogs, video logs, forum posts, or other media. Ideas and suggestions for the show are welcome and encouraged. We can be reached at 46360show@excite.com. Our show will air on Comcast Cable Access and will be rebroadcast by us on YouTube under the label The 46360 Show. Again, welcome to PointCounterpoint, the 46360 Show, produced by Dwayne Perry and Tony Hendricks. We hope you enjoy the topics, the discussion, and the show. Well, let's get started. Tony, what do we have on our agenda for today?
Well, a little upkeep, a little maintenance here. I have not posted the last two shows. I have them, so we will post those. The last show was a lot of good times. We're going to let Dwayne take over. Our main topic, we're gonna again stray, from the format of 5 topics, 10 minutes each. We're going to go over one very important topic, which we've discussed last week, the stormwater fee, and maybe at the end, if we have time, we might do a neighborhood in some minutes. But let me just open it up. Dwayne, it's all yours. Where did we leave off last week? Let's bring them up to date.
Well, you caught me off guard, Tony. I figured you were going to start with the technical aspect of it because I had decided I was going to yield to youth over beauty. But here we go.
Bring him up to speed. What happened?
All right. Last week, I cried, "Wolf, the sky is falling." The reason I did that was because it was coming, and the stormwater fee was coming, and it was moving fast. I expected it to be on the September 23rd council agenda. As we all know, it was not on that agenda, and it was removed from consideration right before the meeting. Well, today, I want to give you the details of the plan, because last week I told you what a political scam it would be if it passed, but I didn't really get into the nuts and bolts of it, the unholiness of the whole thing. It was a firm fee structure that every property owner in Michigan City would have absorbed. More than every property owner. I talked to people who were residents that said, "Well, I won't be affected, well, because I'm renting." And I said, "Well, do you think your landlord's going to absorb that?" "No, he's going to pass it off to you in your rent." Whether it's a residential home that's being rented, a commercial building, every resident of Michigan City would have had to pay that. And it's just wrong. Some people look at it as our current administration's way to get around the state-imposed property tax cap. And it's easy to look at it that way because it was forever. The so-called stormwater problems that we have that had to be fixed were not quantified. There was not a firm dollar amount put against it and said, well, this fee is going to be for 3 years, 4 years, 10 years. No, it was forever.
Forever.
Which is just like another tax. And everybody, here's the rate sheet. I'm not gonna put it close because you can't read it anyway. There's one line that's highlighted. You can maybe able to see that orange highlighting. That was churches, charitable, and religious organizations. I highlighted it and passed that out to the churches with my flyer that went out to almost 3,000 residences because I felt we were in the 11th hour. I had to touch as many residents as I could, and going through the churches and religious organizations would have been the best way, but everyone would have been hit. Residential property owners, you would have paid at least $150 a year. And I say at least because it was on the number of parcels. Every parcel would be hit, which will help you to understand these numbers I'm going to throw out.
Every tax ID parcel.
Every tax ID parcel. If you have a nice big home that's occupied by 3 individual parcels, you're going to get that 150.
Tax ID parcels.
Tax ID parcels. Why do you say?
Because you could have a lot. You could have a home that's on 3 lots, but it's not 3 tax ID parcels.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, there you have it. 3 tax ID parcels. You would have been hit 3 times that roughly $150.
Yes.
And everybody, Michigan City area schools would have been hit over $17,000 a year. They own so many parcels.
Wow.
The Catholic Church in Michigan City, all the Catholic churches, St. Stan's, Queens, St. Mary's, would have been hit over $12,000 a year. St. Paul Lutheran, $2,000 a year. Sinai Temple, $1,800 a year. First Presbyterian Church, $1,800. And all of the various denominations of religious organizations, over $22,000 a year. Those are just the religious organizations. All the other ones, the homeless shelter, Keys of Hope, battered women's shelters would have been hit. YMCA, Boys and Girls Club, Goodwill, Salvation Army, every one of the veterans organizations, both American Legion posts, DAV, VFW, everyone. The Moose, the Elks, Educational, Ivy Tech, Brown Mackey College, every manufacturing facility, NIPSCO, Solaire. How about that? We just get a new owner of Solaire. Hitachi comes in, we say, welcome to Michigan City. Now pay up $5,000 a year, a new fee on your facility here in Michigan City.
Well, wait a minute. So if you look at the amounts you're talking about, I just started thinking about this. Start adding that up. So you're talking what, $100,000 minimum that's not going to go to charity and help people?
Exactly.
I mean, it doesn't sound like much for each person, but you start adding it up, it is a lot still. I mean, you got to pay $2,000 more a year. Churches, they're counting dollars. They're not counting $100 bills. And so you take $100,000, it's not going to go for help of the needy in any way. It's being extracted to a governmental entity. Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't help the community at all. An alleged stormwater problem that I couldn't find, Tony couldn't find it, come on. And that was the component that I really didn't focus on. I was focusing on the scam of selling $23 million in bonds that the administration was going to do, which would give them an immediate influx of $23 million, which they would, over 20-year loan, which they would have paid off with these fees, your money.
It would have cost $12.6 million to pay it off.
In addition to the $23 million, $35 million plus.
$35 million.
And why did they want the $23 million? Politics. In early 2018, we would have seen construction, renovation, like we've never seen in this town, right up to Election Day for 2020. So that was why I was talking, the sky is falling, we got to do something. But the bottom line is how this whole thing was brought about. It was so underhanded, under the table. There was minimal notification. It was announced, I think it was, I didn't hear it, on WeFM, that not everybody listens to. As good a station as it is, WIMS, not everyone listens to that either. And the News Dispatch, their readership is maybe 6,000 in a town of 29,000.
Yeah, but it wasn't prominently in the news dispatch either.
Oh,
it was
no.
it was
in
a paragraph at the bottom of an article.
It was at the bottom of this article entitled Council Waives Solar Panel Fees. At the very bottom, and it was in the newspaper the night before the first neighborhood meeting.
Yeah, I told you about it, and you couldn't find it. I had to get
Yeah,
you the article.
Tony called me, said, you gotta see this. And I looked, I said, where's that? Tony's not in there. Well, you gotta look at the bottom of this article.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines.
8 lines. This was so unethical and immoral, the way this was done. The right way to do it?
Give it to them. Tell them how we do this.
The right way to do it, 6 months. You put it in everybody's water bill. Everybody opens their bills.
Oh, yeah.
The first month, you announce, we're considering a fee. You give a brief explanation of it, or as long as you want to, and you give the rate structure, very minimally.
Or website address.
Or website address, exactly. Give them enough information, give the public the information they need to learn about what it is. Month 2 of water bill, you provide the schedule of the neighborhood or ward meetings, when they're going to take input. Then that goes over 2 months, say. This is just rough. Month 4, you post the feedback that was.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And you can do that in a newspaper. I would say that's adequate.
Oh, yeah, or the website.
Or the website, the best way. Because
read everyone's comments.
Posting the feedback, attaching that in an envelope with a water bill would be very cumbersome. So because there's going to be a lot of feedback. You put that in the newspaper, you put it on the website, and in your month 4 water bill, you say the feedback from all of the neighborhood meetings is posted online. Here's the website. And then month 6, the government tells us what they're going to do. But this was done, bang, zoom. It was done June 28th. The resolution was June 28th.
I like that. Bang zoom.
It was that quick.
It was bang zoom.
In a sanitary district board meeting.
On a Wednesday afternoon.
On a Wednesday afternoon, the meeting is held when most of us are still at work.
In a conference room that holds what? 20?
20 people, yeah. And they had a period of comment. No one commented. Well, nobody was there. And then it passed right on to the council. It was going to be passed on to the council. That's the problem with this whole thing. It was just done so underhandedly. It was like, well, we'll let the public know when they get their bill. When they get their bill, they'll see something and go, hey, what's this? And
it's too late.
Yeah, then it's too late.
Too late.
We enacted a fee and it's over. Get used to it. I'm not saying that this was illegal, but I am saying it was unethical and it was immoral. This administration doesn't appear to care about the people of Michigan City and their pocketbooks, what they can afford anymore. Same thing in 2012 when I was on the council, the sanitary rate increase. That was 35% allegedly. Most people saw 60 to 70%. It wasn't announced, it wasn't posted, there wasn't a period where the residents could come and voice their objections. No one knew what was in the package until they got their bills. And then, oh yeah, well, part of it's for the size of your water meter. The other part is your water consumption. And I called the superintendent of the water department, Randy Russell. I was on the council. I said, Randy, it was a minimum rate that you were billed for, a minimum rate. There was several thousand gallons a month. Thousands of gallons a month. And I called him and I said, Randy, do you have user figures on Michigan City? He said, yeah, we have rates, we have user figures on every customer in Michigan City. So I'm thinking, in this age of computers, why didn't they use those numbers rather than establishing a minimum rate for every person in Michigan City? These are the kind of actions that are unacceptable and have got to change. That's pretty much it.
Well, I like your sleight of hand comment. I want to bring out for the viewers. Now, when we did the sanitary rate increase, if I'm correct, you can correct me if I'm wrong, one of the reasons for the rush then was state revolving loan fund, bonds.
Yeah.
And so we bonded I don't know. I can't say on TV. I don't know if we bonded all the money for that increase, just like we were going to do at the Stormwater, and we had to have that money right now, ready to go. We don't care how much interest we pay. Now the interest rate was very low then, but your understanding, they rushed it and says the time frame's closing, right?
Yeah, the council got hit with that in the last quarter of the year, being October, November, December. And we had to process this. Remember, the council meets only twice a month, and it's usually items that are large amounts of money or somewhat contentious are referred to committee for review. We had to do this by the end of the year, because if we missed that time date, these low interest state-offered revolving loans would not be available. Well, then the next year I found out, talking to a state official, they're always available. When one set of loans expire, another set's put into place. So I thought, well, Dwayne, they got you on that one. You shouldn't have believed them.
Pulled the wool over your eyes there. It was the wool from the sheep they trimmed.
Yeah. I'm sorry. This is really not funny. We don't think it's funny. We kind of laugh at the lunacy
What
of
else
it
are you
at
going to
times.
do?
Yeah, well, that's it. There's nothing. Well, it's dead now. But like I said the next day, I posted, I said, round one goes to Michigan City, the people of Michigan City. But keep your guard up. It'll come again.
Now, you had a good idea there about putting in the bills, because it's not cheap doing every door direct, right?
No.
And if people
cost us a lot of money.
If people thought that it's easy and cheap to send a postcard or a mailing to each person, 3,000 people, you could have paid your stormwater increase, what, 10, 20 years?
Yeah.
You could just went right along instead of spending the money telling the people and saving each, that probably saved every person in this town, what, $400 or $500?
Oh, yeah.
So, you could
and
easily
I feel very good about it. A lot of people have contacted me. Word of mouth was good in this situation. People who got the notice, they spoke with other people. I communicated as well as I could on the internet and got a lot of feedback. So this was really a good thing.
Yeah, so a private citizen shelled out private money to get the issue out there when the city has at its disposal a mailing every month to every customer.
Yeah, it's there anyway. They mail out water bills every month. And since Tony mentioned that, what popped into my mind was I want to clarify this. My actions have no political purpose. No political purpose at all. It's about good government. It's about good government that we do not have enough of. In my opinion, we haven't had good government in Michigan City for a long, long time. And look what it's done to the city. Crime is up. The city's no cleaner, unlike the mayor's billboard said it would be, for a cleaner, safer Michigan City.
I remember.
Crime's up. The city's no cleaner. Michigan City's moving in the direction of becoming Gotham City. I'm sorry. That's.
Well, you got the bat light out?
Yeah.
No, and I like your idea of putting this on the internet, because we showed you that packet last week. What was it? 250 pages of information? Yeah. We've scanned it and we haven't put it online because it's really not appropriate at this point. It's been pulled. It's not going to happen from what I understand. But that packet would have been instrumental. That the city has a website and they do post lots of things on there. They have a whole place where you can go and click on, Lafayette Barker Storm Sewer Separation Project, the Cheney Run Project. You can click on those, past and present. They could have easily posted, or in the Sanitary District, they have a website, easily posted that document for anyone to read. My concern is, and typically, when you don't post something, you don't want them to know. Or you think we don't understand. There's a lot of professionals out there who will freely give their time to review this sort of information, and good or bad, they will give their input for free. Free! So I guess let me sidetrack a little bit here. So on that note, if at this point, here we sit, no stormwater fee, supposedly $23 million in projects that we have some sort of urgency or emergency to do. Not that I agree, but supposedly that's what we have, and we don't have any funding for it because the administration was on the radio saying that all that money is allocated. There is no money. At this point, why don't we release or have a request for proposals, an RFP, the information, because we've seen it, we pulled it online, we have some maps, we've seen it's online for free, of the storm and sanitary structure system in Michigan City. Why don't we release for free to professionals? You'll have to sign up and give them your email address so you know who it is. All the piping and which way it flows, and send it out to any professional, an invitation to review Michigan City's sanitary and storm sewer system and bring a proposal forward to the sanitary district on what they think they would need and how they would get it done and how much it would cost. Because we're talking about 10, 20, 23 million dollars. I guarantee you, you will have 5, 10, maybe 20 engineering firms submit proposals with an analysis for free on what they think the best path forward here is, how to prioritize it, and then we could start asking for the funding with that priority. We don't need $23 million day one locked up with $12.6 million of interest. And maybe one of the comments, if they had released that, would have been, hey, yeah, why don't you release, and a lot of communities do this, a request for a proposal. So they say, here's my problem, here's what I know, tell me how you would do it. They would do that for free because they know, I said this on the show before, if you have $23 million in improvements, you're potentially looking at $2.3 million in engineering fees and $2.3 million in inspection fees. You're looking at $4.6 million to design and inspect. Maybe it's the last, the number I heard bandied about Lafayette Stormwater Separation Project engineering fees was $17 million. They were going to design it for $1 million. That was at the sanitary district meeting. So if you would put this out there, and you can't just put out the stormwater and sanitary structures, there's homeland security issues there, but if somebody had a professional firm, they would sign up, here's my email address, this is my contact information, I would like to receive that, you would note that that's who got it, and then they would come to you with a proposal, the sanitary district, about which direction you would go. Is the tunnel in Lafayette a good direction? Is Cheney Run a good direction? Should we look at the Kinsel Ditch? Is that something? How do we have to change the flows that we have today? Which sanitary pipes would we separate? What's the first place that we have to look at? I would think many firms would be happy to do that and issue a proposal to Michigan City to say, this is what we professionally think you should go. Now, they would do that for free, but you would have to protect their proprietary design and their proprietary thoughts on how to do this, because you can't just give it out and then say, okay, I like yours, I like engineering firm A, but we're going to give it to engineering firm B. We're going to take your idea and we're going to give it to this guy.
Okay, let me inject, please. I want to be careful here because I don't want to encroach on the time that Tony has allotted to talk about a topic that is very near and dear to him. But this is very important, what he's mentioned just right here. And I was going to say that we need, this is an issue in Michigan City. Michigan City has it in their municipal codes that our government can, if they classify a project of a certain classification, that they don't have to competitively bid it. They can just award it.
Right.
Now
Especially
that
professional services.
Professional services. Now that opens the door for graft and corruption. That is wrong. That is wrong for very ground up. And the reason I mentioned all of this that I didn't hit on is this whole thing, the way it was done, was wrong. When we watch the news, we see so much going on at other levels, federal, state, that there's a tremendous amount of distrust on the side of the public of government. Now, what does this do for that? Nothing. We were going to find out about these fees after they were in place. Well, you didn't remonstrate or dispute it. Well, we didn't know about the meetings. Well, they were advertised. Those are the kind of comments, responses we would have gotten to our questions. And we see this time and time. Structure Point, an engineering firm, national engineering firm, did phase 1 of Michigan Boulevard. They did phase 2 without even having to bid it. Then they turned around.
Well, they redesigned phase 2 too.
Yeah, they redesigned phase 2.
They designed it and redesigned it.
And then they did the police station, again, without having to bid it. These kind of actions are what gives birth to all of this distrust that we have. This needs to be fixed. This can't keep on this kind of the public doesn't need to know. They'll know when they get their bill. No, that's wrong. And that's why we're doing this. We're doing this because we both believe in good government. Without good government, we don't have very much.
I guess it's lots of points there. It's two things. Either the public doesn't need to know, or they don't think we're capable of understanding. Either one of those is not good.
No.
But if we had other professionals, well, I guess let me backtrack a little bit. So Illinois, and Michigan City does, and I've been very clear, I have not strayed from this stance. Illinois does not allow the designing professional to also be the inspector on the job. It's illegal. Indiana Department of Transportation does not allow the designing engineer to be the inspector. It's the fox watching the hen house. They're never going to find a problem, ever. Not going to happen. But it's not illegal, like Dwayne said. It's not illegal. It may be unethical. It's not illegal. In Indiana, they let the towns decide, and Michigan has decided since forever that the design engineer can be the inspector. That's why I break it. It's about 10% for the design and about 10% for the inspection. Sometimes between 5 and 8%, sometimes 10 and 12%. It's about 10%. So that's the $4.6 million that a designer will be designing. The various people they said in their packet will also be inspecting the work.
See, the nuts and bolts of what's wrong there is when you have the designer doing the inspection, if the contractor makes a mistake, if the contractor does something wrong, leaves something out, you're going to find out about it. What if there's a problem in the design? What if something was designed wrong?
Never find out.
You're never going to find out about it.
Never find out.
And the design is what makes the construction good. If you build a bum system, it's going to be bum. If you build a good system, it's going to be good.
And we're talking about Illinois.
Yeah.
I mean, look, read the papers. Illinois doesn't allow it. Michigan City sure likes it.
There's so many things wrong about this. I'm so glad that all we did was derail it. Be careful, it's going to come back.
But to go forward, there are always better ideas. It's always good to have a fresh look. Somebody might come up with a completely different concept that they will all look at and say, wow. And there's good members on the sanitary board. I guarantee you, if you put in front of them and let them read multiple proposals and concepts, they can understand it. And they're good people, smart people. Spike Peller, professional engineer, he can understand it, and he will be happy, I'm sure, to review 10, 20 concepts, cost analysis, best path forward, prioritize what we're going to do. I'm sure they would be very happy to, and it would be a plus for them. Okay, they get a great concept. This is the way we're going to go forward. We all agree it's going to save the city money. It's going to work better for the next 100 years. Everyone wins there. It's a political bonus. Look, I saved you money. I got the best concept. It worked. It's going to work for 100 or 200 years. Fantastic. We don't pigeonhole ourselves. We get people, and who knows where they'll come from. Maybe they'll come from Canada. Maybe they'll come from Europe. Maybe across the nation there'll be somebody that wants to bid on it.
Or down the road in Indianapolis.
Or down the road in Indy, or maybe right here in town. There might be someone who who used to be an engineer and knows this like the back of their hand and says, I know exactly what you want, but no one ever asked me or even put a place for let me to tell you. Because sometimes people, and I know this in the government, we have government entities, and sometimes it happens, and I'm probably guilty once or twice. If it's not my idea, it's not a good idea. So I just shut it out. Nope.
Yeah.
Not even going to listen to it. Go away.
I couldn't help but plug that in because that brings me back to our police station, which I never had an issue with, but I brought a nationally recognized firm up from Indianapolis, RQAW, who'd done over 100 government facilities, one of the biggest ones being Fort Benjamin Harrison in Indianapolis, who took one look at the school building and said, if you repurpose that building, if you rehabilitate it and repurpose it, you will save 30%, which was over $4 million. And that was the same company that had built Holbert's new police station
Yep.
and Valparaiso's, two progressive communities.
What's $4 million between friends? $1 million here, $1 million there. Pretty soon you're talking about real money, as far as the government's concerned. No, but you also brought that, and I wasn't a fan of history until I was in mid-20s. But boy, if you don't review your history,
You're destined
to repeat,
to repeat your errors.
And we've gone over topics of that in Michigan City. We're destined to do it again. I don't know if we don't review it or we put blinders on. We don't want to understand. Do we think it's an affront to us, to our ability to understand things that we keep repeating it? I don't believe. I don't know. But I want to bring up, because that would have been Wednesday. They had the meeting Tuesday night, right? Or maybe it was Tuesday. So I find out from some sources that I have that the state of Indiana, the House or the Senate, is working on a bill to exempt charities and churches and 401c3s.
That's right.
From this stormwater rate, because they can't afford it. They're scrimping for pennies. So, and I don't know if it's true. Maybe you can research this and tell us.
House Bill 502.
I heard that it grandfathers in the people that already have stormwater fees.
So if we slam it through.
Yeah, was this rushed? Which is, it's horrible to say. Was this rushed, slammed through to get our stormwater and fee in place before that bill becomes effective? What does that say about the caliber of an administration that would do that? Make sure that they're grandfathered in so that churches and the charities and the 501c3s pay before a bill gets enacted. I don't know. Was it a House bill? There's something coming up.
I didn't start out this way in 2012 when this administration came in office, but at this point, whenever I hear that something's going on, I have to back up and ask myself why. What's going on? It's a shame that you can't accept things at surface value what you're told, but it appears we had the sanitary rate increase in 2012, 2014 or 15 we had
2015.
15.
Well, 13, 15, and 17.
And 17 we had the water department increase, and then now 2017 they won a stormwater fee.
Every 2 years, the fleecing of Michigan City. They're like a big insurance company. Their hands are in your pockets.
Oh boy.
Okay. So, anything else you want to do? That we took a whole bunch of the show there. We had to do it.
Well, it's important. We owe it to you. We owe it to the people of Michigan City. That's why we put this show on.
We have an agenda, but we had, last minute, Dwayne's right. We decided we have to tell
The rest of the
story here.
Yeah.
What's the rest of the story? Because we didn't have enough time. It's supposedly cut off and shut off now. So we wanted to say, what were we thinking? Like he said, not political. What were we thinking for the citizens of Michigan City? What, as tax-paying owners, were we looking at? Or are we missing something? We're always welcome to that. Were we missing something? So we wanted to take the show and...
Every action has a reason, and we need, as residents of Michigan City, if we're concerned about our future, we need to take a look at what the mindset of our leadership is. Our government, why they do things. You need to understand that. It's not hard if they're open, but
Exactly.
if you've got to be Sherlock Holmes every time something comes out of City Hall, that makes it tough. Shouldn't have to do that.
Just put it out in the public. Share it, post it. It's real easy. Everyone can, most people can get online. They can go to the library. You're either keeping secrets because you don't want them to know, or you really just don't care to let them know. You
don't trust their judgment.
Whatever, they don't.
You don't think they deserve a break.
Whatever, they don't have no information. They don't understand it anyways. So that's all we have for that. We can move on to the topic.
Yeah,
I want to at least get back to one neighborhood. And I wanted to do the near west side. So I'm talking about, generally, Wabash West, Chicago South, and Hitchcock to the east and north of the CSX. Kind of that triangulated area. We might have to bring in the near west side, what I've known since I was a kid. We might have to bring in the Lighthouse Mall area because it's kind of the Pullman manufacturing area where they had the trains, and I guess they had like a roundhouse there for trains. Used to be lots of stuff all the way back to the Kinsel Ditch, all the way back there.
Yeah.
All those old factories were there, and they got tore down and burned down and rebuilt, some rehabilitated. So that neighborhood, I wanted to look at that neighborhood because when we talked last week, we talked about rainwater coming mostly from the Lafayette Barker area. It's my neighborhood. I had a map showing that is a watershed, and you're talking St. Stan's Hill all the way down Barker Avenue and kind of wiggles. The hill's kind of out there. It's supposed to go to the southwest to the Kinsel Ditch. And after the meeting, I was thinking, okay, what if it does? What if that water would go over there? And Dave Bila always pushes me on this one. If we had dug something like Strebel Pond down there north of the CSX on all that sandy ground by the Kinsel Ditch, there's a big ditch. You ever drive back there, there's a huge ditch which takes all the water from almost 94 north through the Monon, Strebel Pond, Strebel Arm, Kinsel Ditch, over out to Lake Michigan. So I started looking, and it's simple, a little bit of knowledge. The NOAA, the National Oceanographic Agency, puts out a chart for everywhere in America, and we talk about rain events. So a 2-year rain event, a 10-year, a 100-year, a 500-year, a 1,000-year storm. You can go online. It's real neat. You pick where you are, and they make a chart, and they tell you how many inches of rain will fall in any stormwater event, any rain event. So a 100-year, we always talk about a 100-year rain event. And around here, it's about 7.56 inches of rain. That's what NOAA tells us. And then they have a 500-year rain event, and they have a 1,000-year rain event. So usually we design for a 100-year rain event. You can take 7.56 inches of rain, right? It's quantifiable. Let it fall on the earth, and let it flow where it naturally would. And you know about how much water you got to store and clean and maintain when a big rain hits. Because a big rain hits, the point is sanitary sewers are small. Sanitary sewers say, 6, 8, 10, 12, 15 sometimes, 18, 24 inch, sometimes 36-inch sanitary is huge, huge. Big subdivision we did, I remember, 150 lots in Westville was an 8-inch sanitary, and that was big. So a sanitary sewer is usually pretty small. It's a known amount of flow. We can figure that out, how many people use that water in each house. A storm is huge. Storm sewer pipes, 12 minimum. Yeah. You're talking 64, 10-foot sewer pipes. They're talking big tunnels, huge, because it just rains 2-3 inches at once, flows out and rushes out way as fast as it can go. It's not metered any way. When a storm hits, and it rains downpours, and it just flows right away. So you have to have an area to store that water, clean that water, slow the water down, and then release it to somewhere.
back into the environment.
Our-
You do have to clean it.
We have to clean it.
Because rainwater, you think rainwater is pure. Well, when it hits the ground, it picks up everything that's on the ground. As it runs through the soil, it picks up pesticides, fertilizers, other chemicals, pet waste. When it hits the roads, the oil, the gas that drips from cars, the grease, antifreeze. It picks up anything that comes salt. It picks up anything it comes into contact with, which is why it does have to be treated separately, because it has to be treated because of what it picks up. And the thought behind this stormwater and sanitary sewer water being treated separately is because it would be really expensive and difficult to build one plant to treat it all. Michigan City's sanitary sewer plant has a 15 million gallon holding capacity, which is fine until you get a
more than enough
20-year rain.
Yeah, gully washer.
Yeah, it won't hold it all, even though it all should be treated. So that's the thought behind separating the two. But you've got to treat that rainwater adequately. That when I said that California has led the way in that and they're finding problems, what they're finding is when they run it through a natural filter like sand, eventually the sand becomes a problem. It's contaminated. And then you've got another environmental situation you need to address. The best way to treat it is through a sanitary plant, because what our sanitary plant discharges into Trail Creek is good, clean water. It treats it 100%, but it just can't treat the volume when you add stormwater to it.
And you don't need to treat it as harshly as sanitary water, but you still have to treat it. And I'm glad you brought that up. So one of the documents in the council package was this colored map. And I talked last week about the big area that the Lafayette Tunnel is going to outlet to at 8th and the Boulevard. And I didn't realize until after the show, and later in the week, Wednesday, I looked at it again. They have colored out a very large area at 8th and the Boulevard, which tells me that there's going to be a big treatment area down there instead of what? Condos? Boat docks? We want a big treatment pond for stormwater at 8th and the Boulevard. People coming in, going to Blue Chip. Oh, look, honey, that's a nice stormwater treatment down there. I'm glad they're taking care of their water. No, we want condos and boat docks. So not only are you getting people seeing a stormwater pond, a treatment facility, right in front of Blue Chip, you're not getting any tax revenue. Zero tax revenue. Actually, it costs you money to maintain that instead of building boats and condos. And I thought we paid lots of money for what, 3 or 4 plans talking about condominium develops and boat slips. We already have boat slips there right now.
Yeah.
Do you think a boat owner is going to buy a boat slip by the stormwater treatment pond? And that's why we started looking at stormwater sheds. Now, if you look at the area that drains towards the Kinsel ditch, if anyone has been out at Hitchcock area or the city services area, there is a massive amount of ground, and I don't mean thousands of acres, but plenty of acreage owned by the sanitary district and the city of Michigan City that is probably sand, which is an item that people buy, and we could dig out, I did some preliminary numbers, I didn't bring them, we could probably dig out a stormwater storage treatment pond down there north of the CSX, east of Hitchcock, and handle about any storm you could throw at it. In fact, we could probably handle more than any storm you could throw at it, because we know up there at 400 and Ohio, all that corridor at some point is going to be more developed than it is today, and those people that want to move in there are going to other communities, and they're saying, hey, we want to build a factory, or we want a big parking lot. And the other communities are going, okay, we'll do whatever it takes. We'll build you a stormwater pond to accept the water off your roof, so when you pay $75,000 an acre for a pristine piece of ground, you don't have to set aside 30% of it for a stormwater pond. You can build a parking lot or a factory or something else on there. We'll take your stormwater. We already got a big pond dug where we treat the water, and we'll accept it all for you if you just come here and build in our community and bring us good living wage jobs. Other communities do that. They do that at a heart, and they're poor. They'll do that. They're so hungry. They will do that. I mean, Apple's talking about a big factory up in Wisconsin. I'm sure they're giving them something free. But here we sit. We don't have to work at it. And in fact, we could dig this pond out and sell the sand as we go to somebody for whatever. I mean, supposedly the Ball Corporation took the big, the Hoosier Slide and made glass out of it.
And then what left that lake by Beach Walk, I think, is
they mined that too.
They mined that sand in that area and went to Libby Owens Ford.
Look how big that's like.
Ford Motor Company glass.
Even if they took it for free, we don't have to dispose of it. And it's funny, I didn't think about it till just now. The one thing people want when you're hauling that kind of material is transportation. Here we sit. You're either going to do it by boat or you're going to do it by rail. We're talking about a pond on the north side of CSX. I guarantee you they will let us put a spur line in to load up train cars full of sand and truck it to another manufacturing facility that would be more than willing to take it for free. If we load it onto a car and see you later, we get a big pond.
If the road numbers and names confuse you, the area Tony's talking about is Hitchcock Road is also County Line Road on the west. And the CSX track, if you turn...
No, Hitchcock's not County Line.
Isn't it?
No, it's the next road down. But you could get all the way to County Line. I'm glad you brought that up.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
This land could go all the way from Hitchcock to County Line North. So I look at that. We own a whole bunch of more ground west of Hitchcock all the way to County Line. The Sanitary District does.
Huh.
This pond can be huge. And you know what? Did a little research. Sorry, folks. Gotta like the internet. Did some research.
I really thought that was County Line.
No, Hitchcock goes up towards the prison.
Yeah, it comes out right at the
prison.
At the prison.
You gotta
and
go
it's
down
right
the next
around
road
that
down.
bend that you hit. You're now entering in Porter County.
No, you got to go down the next road down as well.
Okay, yeah,
But I'm glad you brought it up. That's great. Because you always go. You can't. You can go all the way to kind of. I looked at you. Anyone can do this.
Ground.
Oh, it's huge. That is a lake. We sell the sand. We get stormwater treatment. We can sell stormwater storage. We get an environmentally positive, just like Streevel Pond. We get another city park that I'm sure people would love to walk around. And here's what I looked up. So Toronto, Canada.
Listen to this.
Has the same problem. Very environmentally sensitive and moving forward. They took their stormwater treatment, made a park, and they treated their contaminated stormwater with ultraviolet rays. So it cleaned and killed all the bacteria. And then they pumped it up, these big sheet walls, and drop it down in these fountains that are colored by LED lights. Thousands of people go there to hang out in the stormwater treatment park. It's the craziest thing I ever saw. They have night lights, they have concerts, they have waterfalls of clean stormwater. It cost them $30 million, but they got a park, stormwater treatment, a lake, and community visitors like you have never seen. Imagine something like that down by CSX and the city services, where no one's going now. No one except the sanitary district is down there. Imagine rejuvenating that in an environmentally sensitive area. Like, we would win awards. We would be on the front page worldwide instead of putting it at 8th and Michigan Boulevard. We need a paradigm shift, a change in our thoughts. It might be a little more expensive, who knows? We need to look at it.
All you got to do is have a thirst for information and knowledge.
And what it costs the city for me to be on the show and look at it? A zero.
Yeah.
A zip. Took me 15 minutes. I come across Toronto. I was like, Dwayne, this thing is cool. Look at the pictures. Look what they do. And you can go on the internet and you can look it up. Go to the internet, check it out. Really good. So I want to bring that area, the near west side. I don't have a name for it. I'd like to call it like you know, the Pullman industrial neighborhood or the Pullman neighborhood. Again, we're looking for an identity. The subdivisions were DeWolf's, Blair's, Land Companies, Rommel's, Hitchcock, Tuthill and Schwager was in there, Southwest Edition, South Edition, Winsky Industrial Park subdivision. Because what that brings forward, when we start talking about the near west side, is the double track. So the scene can't get away from the double track. The double track, because the near west side is the neighborhood that gets hit the worst with closing streets. Well, I understand the double track goes on the south side of 10th Street, and it goes right down the north side of 11th. So all those streets are going to be closed. Buffalo, Elston, Manhattan,
Yep.
closed. Closed streets. Kentucky, closed.
With no cul-de-sacs at
Tennessee
the end
closed.
of the streets. So emergency vehicles like a fire truck can pull down that street, but they have to back out. They have to back out. There's no way to turn around. Whereas if they just put a service road between the streets, they could go in one street and make it out by going over to the next street.
Or maybe we call
So ill-planned.
maybe we call the neighborhood the Pullman Yards. That's kind of cool. Something really, you know, they deserve something.
Yeah,
good.
the yards.
Pullman Yards.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty neat. But the double track brings me to an article, Northwest Indiana Times.
Yep. Excellent newspaper.
Oh yeah, Governor Holcomb sent a letter to Pence, to Vice President Pence, asking to the Transportation Department to fully fund the West Lake corridor of the South Shore and the double track through Michigan City. And what I asked Dwayne, maybe I'm confused. The article said that the governor asked for $156 million from the feds for the double track. They specifically said for the double track in Michigan City. What's wrong with that?
I don't know, Tony. Maybe I'm confused too, because the numbers are constantly changing. When I first muddled through all of the different newspaper articles to try to get my arms around this thing, the total cost of the project was $906 million, of which 50-50 was going to be the breakdown. $453 million from the lake corridors, Lake County, Porter County, LaPorte County, St. Joe County. Half from them, half from the federal government. Now this $156 million, I don't know where that comes from. The numbers are apparently changing. It's so hard to track them.
Yeah, are we pulling numbers out of a hat? I was going to bring a hat and just pull numbers out. 900 million, 300 million, 200 million, 156 million. Where? I guess it dovetails back to the sanitary rate increase. Where does that? Which numbers do we have? What numbers? If the governor sent a letter, and either Northwest Indiana Times not right, 156 million for the double track. So is that what's going to cost? 156 million. What number's right? I would think the federal government would say, wait a minute here. We're no dummies. You guys have coming up with numbers all over the charts here. 900 million, 300 million, 200 million, now 156 million. What's the right number? Because I'm sure the feds want to, if they want to fund it and agree with this good project, they want it to get done. They don't want to be sitting here like, oh, we gave you 156 million. It actually is 900 million. We're going to need another 700. We need $750 million. We're a little short. Sorry.
We've never really gotten a full breakdown of what the project is. To me, the key part of the project that naturally Congressman Visklowski pushes, because he's from the Lake County area, is a spur that's going to go down to the Lowell Dyer area.
Yeah, the West Lake corridor.
Yeah, that's the West Lake corridor.
And that'll make money.
That'll make money, but it's going to be a shift, because if you've ever driven by during the workday, the Indianapolis Boulevard station, their parking lot is about the size of 4 football fields.
Yeah.
It's absolutely full.
Overflowing.
And that's a lot of traffic from South Lake County coming up.
Now you're talking.
So if they have a closer station, that load on Indianapolis Boulevard is going to go away. I don't know if other people will come in. They may, if they close Miller, the Miller's loading spot They're not gonna, they'll probably close, I would expect them to close Gary Metro because it's old and debilitated now. Miller, they won't close Ogden, they shouldn't close Ogden Dunes
No.
because it's a brand new elevated platform with tons of parking.
That's Chesterton and Valpo.
Yeah,
So yeah, what he's talking about is that Westlake corridor. We're talking Munster, Schererville, Crown Point, all the way to Lowell. We're talking
high development areas, all the way down to St. John's.
expansive area, expansion area. St. John,
Yeah,
expanding like no tomorrow. They can't handle their expansion. We're talking 41 South. I mean, 41 was put in as kind of the 65 of the era, and all that work, all the way from Lowell North, 41 South. Now we're going to put a train corridor, and they're going to get on that train.
oh yeah.
And more people are going to take that train, and they're going to go south, and they're going to want to live Lowell, Crown Point. They're going to any place they're going to want to live out there. That's the Westlake corridor. So there was an amount of money in there
That's
for
a
the
key
Northwest
part of the
Towns.
project.
So
But I don't remember hearing a number, individual numbers. The South Lake project from East Chicago to Gary, from Gary to Michigan City, and then finally from Michigan City to South Bend. I don't know what South Bend's gonna get out of this. I don't think they're gonna get very much.
well, I don't know. South Bend's growing big, but yeah, I don't see people getting on the train from South Bend to Chicago. But before, we only got like a minute and a half here. I go out Michigan Boulevard every day, and I told Dwayne today, every day I go out to Michigan Boulevard, and I go out Southtown to LaPorte, and there's that railroad bridge, the CSX. It's just looking horrible. We spend a lot of money on 94. It looks really good. That bridge. Couldn't we give the railroad some money and let us paint that bridge and make it look nice and say, welcome to Michigan City? When people are coming into Blue Chip, that's the bridge they see from Michigan City. That's one of the first things they see from that east side coming to Michigan City. And we're going to have some competition coming from that side. Welcome to Michigan City. Or when they're leaving, glad to have you here. Hope you come back soon. It's right in your face when you drive that bridge. It seems to be a no-brainer. It shouldn't cost that much. I guarantee the railroad company is going to be like, hey, you guys want to pay to paint that bridge? We'll hire the contractor. You pay.
We paid $50,000 to redo the CSX tracks by Ames Field. We fought over that for a year. And then we finally realized if we wanted it done, we were going to have to ante up. We did, and it was done. We should do the same thing with that bridge, because with all of the road work on Michigan Boulevard, everyone, you've got to admit that Franklin Street is overloaded with traffic. We need to push Michigan Boulevard as a main entry into Michigan City.
10 seconds here.
To take the load off Franklin Street.
So thank you. We got to thank everyone for going. We got 5 seconds.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone. Had a good show. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.